learned that I actually had 4 Facebook accounts. The main one was for my wife, so that she could have a husband in the Facebook world. The other 3 were accounts that I had set up for Don't Tread on Me and the Sons of Liberty Academy. I never really used them, but they were there. The only high point I ever had of the whole experience was my first birthday with Facebook, when I received over 100 happy birthdays from people all over the world. The reality of the whole Facebook experience is that it never really seemed real. Despite how many friends you have on Facebook, the fact is we are very lucky to have a handful of real friends in our lives. Having more superficial electronic contact with others does not improve our lives. If anything, it detracts from it, as life becomes less human. LOL pales in comparison to the real laugh out loud of sharing an experience with a friend. The more LOLs we share, the less it means. Sooner or later, everything is just an electronic dance of acronyms trying to fulfill some missing part of your soul. When consumerism was first sold to the world, it was designed to get us to buy stuff we don't need in an effort to feel better than others. Soon, everyone determined their worth not by the strength of our relationships, but by what we were able to consume. You give up relationships to work more, to have a better life. The more we worked, the more we bought. The further in debt we went. The combination of work and debt made our relationships worse, which compelled us to work more and buy more. This self-fulfilling loop spun out of control in our society for decades as people worked harder and harder to look or feel good. Consumerism was a psychological process led by Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, to keep post-World War II industries humming after the war. Industrialists employed Madison Avenue to transform society from sensible people with strong relationships into superficial spenders looking for the next high. Advertising links our subconscious desires with products. Take the cigarette, for example. Subconsciously, it is a form of power and rebellion. The reality is, it is a weakness. Soon we began to buy products not for the utility of the product, but to say to the world, I bought this, and the ad says that I'm cool.
And while everyone you know may own the fanciest clothes
and the best cars, you will own the companies that sell them.
If you want to know what heaven really is, Murray,
try being God.
The bankers that backed all this up needed this spending to create more debt in order for their Keynesian Ponzi scheme not to collapse. This plan worked well for many decades, but as the boomers age, the party is over for consumerism and the check is due. What is the next thing if people are broke? How could they keep the masses from waking up to the wasted lives they had led chasing after nothing? The answer is, let them amuse themselves to death. Facebook is the ultimate expression of narcissism. Where else can you go and expose everything about yourself like a prancing peacock? I mean, you get your 15 minutes of fame every minute. Facebook is, when you boil it down, one big look-at-me fest. Look at my pictures, look at my car, look at where I am, look at my wife, look at my life. The ultimate irony in the social network is that nobody really cares because it's not about them. Oh sure, they'll say nice things, but deep down they don't care at all. The narcissism is so rampant in our society that people would step over a real relationship to update their status. The answer to the question, what's on my mind, is usually nothing at all. Facebook is also full of shameless promotion. The stuff that isn't vapid on Facebook is probably promotional. Corporations, promoters, stars, small businessmen are either promoting their services or networking to get ahead. There are whole marketing courses about social media managers. The sad thing is that the comments and tweets are not even done by the people you are following. They have social media managers for that. They probably have lives and don't waste their time playing with Facebook. Do you see the irony in that? You friend or follow somebody because they're doing something interesting with their lives, and they don't waste precious time doing stupid stuff like spending hours on Facebook. Corporation and marketers tell us, hey, it's cool to connect. But behind the scenes, they're only interested in the conversion and monetization of traffic. And listen carefully.
The low self-esteem success chance is the conclusion that you want your prospect to have, which says, well, these guys are smart and I'm retarded. Oh, actually, that's not the exact one, but let's say they have that conclusion A. These guys are smart, I'm retarded, I can't do it. But if I could just do 1/10 as much as they do, then this would definitely be worth it. Right? You ever had that rationalization in your mind? Like, well, I'm over here telling you about doing $10 million and whatever a day, 360 grand in 9 minutes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you ever think to yourself, well, Jesus, if I could just do like a little bit of that, I would be stoked. Not to say you guys all have low self-esteem, although every single person in the world does. which you should be happy about because you can prey on it like an evil. Never mind. Anyway, so that's what you want, right? Prey on it like an evil. You can prey on it like an evil. You can prey on it like an evil.
The predator mentality of marketing and how it corrupts our relationships is why Bill Hicks says to marketers, kill yourself.
By the way, if anyone here is in advertising or marketing, kill yourself. Thank you. Thanks. Just a little thought. I'm just trying to plant seeds. There's no rationalization for what you do, and you are Satan's little helpers, okay? Kill yourself, seriously. You're the ruiner of all things good.
Most men live lives of quiet desperation and go to their grave with their song still in them. Henry David Thoreau. Facebook is also voyeuristic. Everybody wants to see if so-and-so got fat or what their kids look like. This allows you to look into people's lives, but it never really tells the story of their lives. Behind all the smiles lies a quiet sense of desperation. It may be money issues or relationships or disease or work issues. We all have it. We all have a deeper life that we would share with real friends, but not with your Facebook friends. If you cannot be open with a person, why even let them in your life? Why would you let them look in? We are way too polite as we give up that part of us to people who don't even really care about us. We must keep the sacred from the profane. Since we put ourselves into this petri dish of social voyeurism, we force ourselves to put on a mask. We intentionally mask what we really feel for many reasons. We may not want to upset someone, or we may want to impress somebody. The problem comes when we wear a mask so much that we lose who we really are. This may stifle some desire to do something, or to be who you really want to be. Since we wear this mask, people who we do let into our lives only know the mask. Then you become too afraid to be who you really are, for fear of scaring them off. This ultimately leads to unfulfilling relationships or worse. Now, before you Facebook people get all upset, Facebook does have some good qualities. Yes, it is cool to connect with old friends and share pictures. Your Facebook life is reflective of your real life. Most of the people that are on Facebook have a life, and it doesn't consume them. Facebook is not the cause of these problems any more than pencils misspell words. Facebook is just an easy outlet for millions trying to find meaning or connection in their lives. The problem is, this kind of connection is superficial and unfulfilling. What Facebook is to emotional social fulfillment is what porn is to an emotional sexual fulfillment. Nothing beats the real thing. If you really want to connect with people, quit texting and commenting and pick up the phone and talk. Video chat is even better because so much of our communication is nonverbal. We can judge a person's emotions within seconds of seeing them. So much of our communication is lost through this electronic filter. The best way to communicate, of course, is face-to-face. The best conversations I've ever had in my life occurred when I got together to have a drink and just talk. These connections energize us because it is what we are meant to be doing. We are visual, emotional, and spiritual beings wanting to connect on a deeper level with meaning and purpose. If your life does not have meaning or purpose, look at the friends you keep. Facebook acts as a tool towards that purpose. It is a sad substitute for the real thing. Real communication about real issues is hundreds of times more powerful than the non-emotional niceties that pass for communication on Facebook. Do you realize there's a whole generation of humans that thinks this is normal? The criminal elite know that if they take away the meaning of words, it incapacitates our thought. If you cannot speak, you cannot think. If you cannot think, you cannot figure things out. If you cannot figure things out, you will never see that you're a slave. If you cannot see that you're a slave, you'll never rebel. If you cannot rebel, you'll never be free. And if you cannot be free, you'll never fulfill your purpose on earth to be your highest and best self. Until they become conscious, they will never rebel. And until after they have rebelled, they cannot become conscious. George Orwell. How long will it take for a computer algorithm to become your friend? Don't laugh. People think that Bitcoin is real money. Look at your Facebook contacts and tell me that the majority of the connections could not be programmed. Subject A is sad. An algorithm spits out, cheer up, it'll be okay. Or tell me about it. Or I'm here for you. Or I love you. If the contact is that vapid, and this is truly a narcissistic experience, who wouldn't like to have a bunch of yes men as friends? Mental masturbation to distract you from a hole in your life? The more this narcissism persists, the more it turns into psychopathic behavior in the real world. The biggest promoters are the ones making the biggest bucks. All of a sudden, people think psychopathic narcissistic behavior is the key to success. Look at some of the shows like Jersey Shore or Real Housewives. They are nothing more than the normalization of psychopathic behavior. People figure it's going on all around them and they think that it's the way it's supposed to be. Well, it's not, and we must keep this out of our lives. We have seen many people mistaken the attention and kind words from friends online and throw that against the people in your real life. Your wife isn't doing it for you? Well, you have girls online that think that you're the best thing since sliced bread. Your husband moody? Well, your ex-boyfriend recently divorced and is so supportive. These serve as temptations that we just don't need in our already stressful lives. This bleed into the real life is where the electronic experience gets dangerous. How many times have you been in the room with someone and they're checking their email while they're talking to you? The constant rush of connection has become all too prevalent in our lives. I fear if things don't change soon, we'll become isolated little bits of nothing. First, we became disconnected from nature and never really saw the amazing sight our world has to offer. We hardly look at the stars anymore and see how small we really are. Then the family got ripped apart when the father left home for a job to provide for his family. Then the wife had to enter the workforce to keep up with inflation and the Joneses. Now children are even separated from their friends from this electronic void of never knowing what a true friend is. What chance will they have in life? What kind of future are we building? Instead of seeing how small we are in the real world, we are pushed to us being the center of a narcissistic virtual world. Then there is the burnout experience from all this constant back and forth. Responding to people's comments, likes, and dislikes is tiring. Then you have to think, did I say this right? How will they take this? I can imagine at some point this becomes real work to balance all these quote-unquote friends. Everyone is always looking over your shoulder and all in your business. If anything, wouldn't it get boring? Don't we have anything better to do? One other thought I would like to explore is how many of your friends are because of circumstances or real friends. We are friends with schoolmates, co-workers, families, and neighbors by circumstances. They're in your life and they're agreeable enough to spend time with. For the most part, you never really get to know them, or you really don't want to get to know them. If you're not living with these people, how many would you still pursue in real life? One interesting thing that I found working on this project and consulting with people, I tend to have deeper conversations with the one-on-one calls that I do than most people will have in their real lives. I have no time for superficiality and often ask tough questions and challenge people. It instantly breaks through the mask we all wear. It gets to the real issue and the real person asking it. I think once you get beyond the mask, you can become real friends and have deeper relationships. You should not be afraid to try this with your people in your life. You will either have less negative people in your life, or you will have deeper relationships with the ones that you love. I predict that there will come a time when people will quit all this vapid social networking and reestablish a real life. I believe that the crash of the dollar will coincide with this. We will no longer be able to get something for nothing and give up everything real for that nothing. Then we will have a new day where we can get back to something that really matters. A smaller, slower, more local life is in your future. That, of course, is after a massive social upheaval. Those that have the strongest real relationships will be the ones most likely to succeed. Do yourself a favor today. Go into your Facebook account settings and deactivate Facebook. Don't worry, everything will be safe for a couple months. Blow past the creepy Mary and John will miss you pictures, and post a link to this video as the reason why you're doing it. See how many people even notice that you're missing. See if someone will try to actually find you in the real world and contact you. If they do, they're probably a real friend and someone you should really get to know better.